The sound of laughter followed me like smoke. It wasn't loud enough for strangers to notice, but sharp enough to slice through my composure. Ethan, my older brother, had his phone raised, camera angled toward me as I dragged my suitcase down the station stairs. "Careful, Claire," he called, his grin stretching too wide. "Don't trip on your way to the train." Behind him, my mother, Donna, laughed softly, that practiced, polite kind of laugh she used when she wanted to humiliate me without looking cruel. She's always been too sensitive. She said to no one in particular, brushing invisible dust from her blazer. And then came Ryan, my cousin, the echo that always arrived after someone else's punchline. "Wait till she realizes," he whispered, smirking. "Imagine her face when the conductor says her ticket isn't valid." Their voices clung to me as I stepped onto the platform. The digital board blinked red letters, "Canceled." The crowd shifted inside, wheels scraping concrete, announcements blurring overhead. I stood still, a suitcase handle digging into my palm, trying to decide which hurt worse, the prank itself or how easily they found joy in it. It wasn't the first time. The laughter felt familiar, rehearsed. Maybe it always had been. "My name is Claire Thompson, 27 years old, an analyst at a small marketing firm, and the family's dependable fool. I pay the bills when Ethan's freelance jobs dry up. I cover Mom's late payments when her investment club falls short. I send Ryan rent money every month because he's still between apartments. They call it helping out. I call it a leash." As I stared at the blinking sign, something inside me shifted a click, quiet but final. For years, I told myself they didn't mean harm, that every insult was just teasing, every manipulation an accident. But that night, with their laughter echoing down the station walls, I finally understood it wasn't an accident. It was sport. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Ethan lit the screen. "Relax. Claire, just a prank. Don't be dramatic." A small smile tugged at my lips, the kind that hides pain under polish. "You'll figure it out," I whispered, mimicking their tone. The train wasn't coming, but a different kind of departure had already begun. For the first time in years, I didn't rush to forgive. I simply stood there and let their laughter fade. The next morning, the station's chill still clung to my jacket as I sat alone on a bench, watching the trains glide past without me. Somewhere between the hum of engines and the hiss of brakes, memories began to surface, proof that last night's humiliation hadn't been an isolated moment, but the latest verse in a very long song. I remembered Ethan, calling me his safety net the year he quit his job to find himself. When his credit card maxed out, he used mine. When rent came due, I wired him the money and told myself I was being a good sister. Then Donna, my mother, the master of gentle guilt. She'd say, "You're doing so well. Sweetheart, not everyone in this family is as capable as you." Her voice was sweet, but beneath it was the reminder capable people pay. I covered her overdue bills, her temporary car loan, even the spa membership she called her only escape. And Ryan, my cousin, always smiling, always broke. His emergencies arrived like clockwork: phone bills, rent, a security deposit I'll pay you back for next month. I learned not to expect repayment. Gratitude was never the goal. Dependence was. There had been smaller moments too, easier to ignore at the time. Like the birthday dinner where they joked about my tight budget while passing the check my way. Or the Christmas when I bought gifts they sneered at for not being brand name. Each scene played back now, the laughter louder than I'd remembered. I saw it clearly: every favor, every bailout, every apology had turned my kindness into their currency. For years, I believed giving made me needed, that being useful meant being loved. But sitting there, the sound of the train tracks humming underfoot, I realized something colder. I wasn't loved because I gave. I was tolerated because I kept giving. And when I stopped even for one night, they laughed because they couldn't imagine me doing anything else. The next train arrived with a gust of wind that carried someone else's destination. I didn't move. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty for being still. The train platform emptied around me, leaving only echoes and the hum of flickering lights. My phone buzzed again, the glow cutting through the cold air. A new message from Ethan slid across the screen. Relax. Claire. It was just a joke. Don't be dramatic. Those last 2 words, be dramatic, hit harder than the laughter ever could. They'd said it for years. Every time I cried. Every time I tried to explain how small they made me feel. Donna used it like a charm to silence me. Oh, sweetheart, don't make this dramatic. You always overreact. I used to believe them. I used to think that maybe I was too sensitive, that maybe kindness really did come with humiliation attached, but standing there, suitcase at my feet, I felt something unravel. Their jokes weren't jokes. They were habits, rituals designed to keep me quiet, compliant, dependable. My thumb hovered over Ethan's message. Trembling, I almost typed back the same words I always did. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But the words refused to come. They didn't fit anymore. I thought about all the nights I stayed up working overtime just to cover the bills they ignored. All the birthdays I spent alone while they threw parties I wasn't invited to. A gust of wind whipped through the station, scattering old flyers across the floor. One stuck against my boot an ad for a travel agency, bold letters spelling anywhere but here. I looked at it for a long time, then whispered, maybe I will. My phone buzzed again, this time from Donna. Stop being childish. Claire, you know we love you. Don't ruin the weekend over a joke. Love. Another word they drained of meaning. I slipped the phone into my coat pocket and exhaled slowly. Maybe I couldn't undo the years behind me, but I could choose what came next, and for the first time, I didn't text back. The train station clock ticked past midnight, each second landing heavier than the last. I sat on a metal bench, the cold seeping through my coat. My phone still glowing in my palm. I wasn't crying anymore. The anger had burned itself out, leaving something sharper clarity. All my life, I'd been the problem solver. When Ethan maxed his credit cards, I transferred money before he could ask twice. When Donna's business ventures collapsed, I covered her debts so she wouldn't lose face. When Ryan got evicted, I paid his rent, pretending it didn't hurt. Every rescue felt like proof that I mattered. But maybe I'd only built my own prison, one payment at a time. The banking app blinked open with a familiar tone. It had always been a place of quiet comfort, a record of how useful I was. This time, it looked different, like a vault full of chains I was finally ready to break. My heart thudded as I scrolled through the list: automatic transfers, shared cards, recurring payments. My thumb hovered over the first one, Ethan's rent fund. For a moment, doubt pricked the edges of my resolve. What if they really didn't mean it? What if I'm overreacting again? Then I heard it. Not in my ears, but in memory, their laughter from the night before. The sneer in Ethan's voice. The look on Donna's face, pleased, almost proud of the humiliation she'd orchestrated. That was enough. Tap. Cancel transfer. Tap. Block shared card. Tap. Freeze account access. Each click echoed louder than the one before. My breath came faster, not from guilt, but release. It felt like cutting wires to a bomb that had been ticking for years. In my mind, I saw their faces, the disbelief when their cards stopped working, the sudden panic when bills bounced. I didn't feel cruel. I felt balanced. The overhead speakers crackled with a new announcement. Next train departing in 10 minutes. I stared at the glass doors, my reflection pale but steady. For the first time, I saw someone who wasn't their victim. A quiet vow left my lips before I even realized I'd spoken. No more saving people who enjoy watching me drown. My thumb hovered one last time, then pressed confirm. The app closed. The screen went dark. And for the first time in years, the silence felt like freedom. The train doors slid open with a hiss, spilling warm air over my face. I stepped inside, finding an empty seat by the window. Outside, The platform lights flickered, reflecting in the glass like small fires dying out. I didn't know where the train was headed, and for once, I didn't care. The real destination was the silence I'd been too afraid to claim. It didn't take long for the phone to start buzzing again. One notification, then another, then dozens. I stared at the screen, each name lighting up like ghosts from my past. Ethan Yo. What the hell? My card just got declined at the store. Fix it. Donna sweetheart. Did you forget the mortgage payment? The bank called. Ryan rent bounced. Not funny. Claire, stop this. Their words stacked on top of each other, urgent, panicked, entitled. I imagined them sitting in the same living room where I'd spent countless nights fixing their problems. Now, the lights might be dimming, the comfort slipping through their fingers, and the silence they once mocked had finally come for them. The rhythm of the train blurred beneath me, steady and sure, like applause from an unseen audience. I leaned my head against the glass, watching the city melt into streaks of yellow and gray. My reflection stared back, tired. Yes, but whole. Another message popped up. This one from Lydia Bet, you're crying. Want us to pick you up? Say sorry first. I laughed softly, a sound that didn't feel bitter anymore. Just free. I closed the banking app and slipped the phone into my coat pocket. My suitcase suddenly felt lighter, as if I'd unpacked years of invisible weight. For the first time in my life, their chaos wasn't my emergency. Their panic wasn't my responsibility. The silence they feared so much was the only thing keeping me calm. The next announcement echoed through the car. Final stop ahead, but it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like the first moment of something real, something mine. Let the silence teach you, I whispered, and the train carried me forward. By morning, my phone was shaking with notifications, missed calls, voice messages, unread texts stacked like confessions. The screen glowed with their desperation proof that silence was finally louder than all their noise. Donna was the first voice I heard. Her tone carried the same sweetness she used when she wanted something. Claire, sweetheart, this has gone too far. We were just joking. You know we love you. Don't make a big deal out of nothing. Love. That word again. They threw it around like a net, expecting me to tangle myself back into it. Ethan's message followed, sharp and bitter. So, this is your idea of revenge. Grow up. Claire, you think you're better than us because you've got a job and a few dollars. He sounded angry, but beneath it, I heard something unfamiliar, fear. Then came Lydia, her voice trembling through the static. The kids are crying. They don't understand why there's no food. Please, Claire, don't do this to them. The guilt pressed at my chest, the same way it always had. For a moment, my thumb hovered over the callback button. I could end this. One transfer, one apology, and the world would fall back into its cruel rhythm. But then I remembered the laughter at the station, the way they had filmed me struggling, turned my embarrassment into family entertainment. My breathing steadied. Guilt, I realized, was their language. They'd spent years teaching me to speak it fluently, to confuse love with obligation, forgiveness with surrender. I typed a message slowly, each word deliberate. Family doesn't strand one of their own for fun. Don't use that word with me again. I didn't send it yet. I just looked at it, letting the truth of it sink in. It wasn't anger anymore. It was clarity. The hotel room around me was small, quiet, mine. No shouting, no guilt, no expectations, just space to think. I hit send. The message left in a single blue bubble, clean, final, like a door closing. Outside, the city hummed to life. Somewhere, my family's world was cracking, and for once, I didn't feel sorry. I felt free. The hotel room smelled faintly of bleach and old carpet, but to me, it was the scent of peace. A single lamp buzzed by the bed, throwing a weak halo over the walls. It wasn't luxury, but it was mine. For once, I wasn't surrounded by the noise of their demands or the guilt that came with ignoring them. Just silence, steady, unjudging. My phone kept vibrating on the nightstand, desperate little tremors breaking the stillness. I stared at the screen as message after message appeared. Ethan, mortgage is overdue. Don't be petty. Fix this. Donna, please. Claire. They're threatening foreclosure. We'll make it up to you. Lydia. The kids are hungry. If you don't help, you'll regret it. Ryan, landlord's at my door. Don't do this. You're better than that. Better than that. The irony almost made me laugh. I used to believe I was better when I was generous, forgiving, endlessly available. But all it ever did was teach them that love was a free service, something I owed them simply for existing. I opened the Notes app, not to write back, but to write for myself. A confession, maybe, or a declaration. For years, I thought being kind meant staying quiet, that forgiveness was proof of love, but forgiveness without change is just permission. The words looked strange on the screen, strong but unfamiliar, like hearing my own voice for the first time. The air conditioner hummed, steady like applause from somewhere deep inside me. I sat on the edge of the bed, the glow of the phone painting my face in pale light. Then I began typing one last message to the group chat that had once been my lifeline. You taught me that love was a debt. I'm just collecting what's owed peace. I hit send, powered the phone off, and dropped it face down. The hum of the city outside became my lullaby. For the first time, I fell asleep without rehearsing an apology in my head. Tomorrow, their world would keep crumbling. Mine would finally begin. Sunlight seeped through the thin curtains, slicing across the worn hotel comforter. For a moment, I didn't move. The quiet felt foreign, like I was trespassing in my own peace. Then, my phone, now fully charged after a night of silence, began to buzz again. I didn't reach for it. I let the sound fill the room until it stopped, then started again. More frantic this time. When I finally turned it over, the screen lit up with a storm of missed calls and voicemails. I pressed play. Donna's voice came first, brittle around the edges. Claire, please. The bank called again. They said we've missed 2 payments. I told them it was a mistake. You didn't mean it. You wouldn't do this to us. Her voice cracked on us, as if family were a shield against consequences. Next was Ethan, his tone sharp with panic disguised as anger. This is ridiculous. You think you're proving something my card got declined at the gas station? You made me look like an idiot. Fix it. Now. I almost smiled. Once, that tone would have made me cave instantly. But now, it just sounded like noise, the sound of a crumbling kingdom losing its queen. Then came Lydia's voicemail. Her voice was different, softer. The kids are crying. Claire. They don't understand. They're asking why Aunt Claire doesn't love them anymore. That one stung. My chest tightened, guilt clawing for a way back in. I had always loved her children, innocent bystanders in the wreckage of our family's selfishness. But I knew the truth. Lydia's message wasn't about the kids. It was another move in the same old game. I sat on the edge of the bed, listening as one voicemail bled into another, Ryan's landlord threatening eviction, Ethan's fury turning into insults, Donna's tears twisting into manipulation. You know we love you. You're overreacting. You'll regret this. You're heartless. That word again, heartless. I looked around the small room, its walls faded, the air humming with the sound of pipes and city traffic. It was humble, imperfect, but honest. Everything about it was mine, and in that moment, I realized how little I needed from them and how much they had always needed from me. I opened a new message thread. My fingers hovered over the keyboard before I began typing slowly. Carefully. You think I'm punishing you, but I'm not. I'm just showing you the silence you gave me for years, the same silence every time I cried. every time I asked to be heard. This isn't revenge. It's balance. I hit send, not expecting a reply. Seconds later, the typing dots appeared, then disappeared, then came back again. They didn't know what to say, and that was the real victory. I placed the phone face down on the nightstand. The hum of the city outside sounded like applause again, steady and certain. They were falling apart, yes, but so was the version of me that had spent her life holding them together, and between the collapse and the quiet, I found something I didn't expect to feel so soon. Relief. By evening, the city outside my window glowed like an endless line of possibilities. I sat on the small hotel desk, a cup of cooling coffee beside me, my phone still face down. I wasn't avoiding them anymore. I was choosing peace over noise. But curiosity has a way of whispering louder than reason. Eventually, I turned it over. The notifications had multiplied. Missed calls, messages, voicemails. It was like watching desperation evolve in real time. The first few were still angry. The rest sounded like panic wearing the mask of remorse. Donna's newest message came first. Claire. Honey, please. The mortgage company is threatening foreclosure. I told them you'd fix this. You always fix things. Then Ethan, voice cracking, his arrogance eroding. The bank froze my account. I can't get gas or groceries. You can't just walk away from us. We're family. And Lydia, the one who always knew how to twist emotion into guilt, sent a voice note barely above a whisper. If you don't help, you'll regret it forever. The kids keep asking why you hate them. I pressed pause halfway through. It wasn't the first time someone used love as a weapon, but it would be the last time it hit me like one. For so long, I had equated sacrifice with love, believing that if I gave enough, they'd finally see my worth. But they never did. Because love that depends on utility isn't love. It's convenience. I opened a blank note and started typing. Not for them, but for myself. They taught me that love meant fixing what others broke. That being good meant being silent. That family meant owing, not belonging. My fingers stilled. The words looked harsh, but they were true. Outside, the city pulsed with life. Strangers rushing home, neon lights flickering, laughter drifting from a nearby restaurant. The world was still spinning, untouched by my family's chaos. It struck me how small their control really was now that I'd stopped feeding it. My phone buzzed again. A video call from Donna. For a moment, I let her face fill the screen, eyes red, hair disheveled, panic replacing pride. Claire, please. We can fix this together. We just need you. I ended the call without a word. My reflection flashed back on the black screen, steady, composed, untouchable. They wanted a reaction. I gave them silence. In the past, I'd mistaken quiet for weakness. Now I understood it was a language they'd never learned to hear. Silence was no longer my surrender. It was my verdict. I set the phone down and looked out the window. Somewhere, the family that once mocked me was finally confronting a truth I'd lived with for years, that I was never their problem. I was their solution, and solutions, once gone, don't come back. Morning sunlight spilled through the curtains, turning the dull beige walls of the hotel into soft gold. For the first time in years, I woke up without a list of people to save. No missed calls to answer. No debts to erase, no voices demanding more. Just the hum of the city and the quiet rhythm of my own breathing. I walked to the cafe downstairs, the smell of coffee and fresh bread curling through the air. The barista smiled as I ordered a small latte, no family-sized anything, no guilt for spending a few dollars on myself. I sat by the window, watching people rush by, their lives moving in every direction. Mine, finally, was moving too. My phone stayed silent in my pocket. I didn't check it. I didn't need to. Whatever chaos waited on the other side of the screen no longer belonged to me. For years, I thought love meant endurance, staying, fixing, forgiving. But love real love doesn't demand your ruin as proof of devotion. It doesn't call you heartless for setting boundaries. It doesn't laugh when you fall. I took a sip of coffee and smiled at my reflection in the glass. There she was, the version of me I'd been too busy rescuing everyone else to notice. I didn't hate them. I didn't want them destroyed. I just wanted them to understand. The same way I finally did. They thought they stranded me at that train station, left me alone and powerless. But that night, I hadn't been abandoned. I'd been released. I stood, leaving a tip on the table, the sunlight catching the edge of my cup. Outside, the world waited wide, uncertain, alive. They thought they stranded me, I whispered, stepping into the light. But I was the one who finally left them behind.